Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Fast 5, which is the 5th film in the Fast and the Furious franchise. It came out a little over 10 years ago, April of 2011, is the 3rd movie in the series to be directed by Justin Lin, and is the defining point of the series where it started becoming the mega franchise that it is today. This movie picks up directly where Fast and Furious left off, where Dominic Toretto, once again played by Vin Diesel, is sentenced to 25 years to life, despite the fact that he helped Brian O'Connor send that drug lord to prison. Yeah, they still haven't forgotten all those DVD players that he stole back in the first movie. But anyway, as this bus full of prisoners heading down the long desert road, Brian and Dom's sister, played again by Paul Walker and Jordana Brewster respectively, hatch a plan, a brilliant plan I might say, to break Dom out of the bus. Force the driver to lose control of the bus, then have one of the cars drive and park in front of the bus, and have the bus trip over a car and flip several times to the point where nobody could have survived that crash. And we saw the inside of that bus. None of those convicts, including Dom, were wearing seatbelts. And I love how that's the scene that happens right before the title card. And then once we get back into the actual movie, there's a newscaster that says, miraculously no one was killed. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, all those prisoners have to be dead. But then again, in Fast and Furious, Dominic Toretto did get shot in the shoulder, and rather than falling over and just being critically injured, he looked at the shooter and went, "The fuck you just do?" and just started beating him up. But anyway, our 3 characters, Dom, Brian, and Mia, are on the run. They make their way to Rio de Janeiro, and they suddenly find out that Mia is pregnant with Brian's kid. So the 3 of them hatch a plan to try to steal money from this wealthy Brazilian drug lord, and in order to do that, they have to assemble a team of people to pull off this heist of $1 million. So in the same way that the Fast and the Furious ripped off Point Break, Fast 5 rips off Ocean's 11. However, another threat comes into play in the form of Agent Luke Hobbs of the US Diplomatic Security Service, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is the single coolest character in this franchise. Sorry, Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto is not even in the top 3 of coolest characters in this series. So this is the movie that is often regarded as the best film in the Fast and the Furious franchise. If you look up every single ranking of the Fast and the Furious series, whether it's on YouTube, random news outlets, or on Letterboxd, usually Fast 5 will be at the top of everyone's list. And I actually didn't see this in theaters. I was kind of intrigued to see it because it got really good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. In fact, it was the only film in the series at the time to get a fresh rating. But the thing that kept me from seeing it was Spill.com, which has morphed into the website Double Toasted. Most of the time when it comes to movie reviews, I tend to agree with what they say. And I was all hyped to see Fast 5, and then I heard their review. They weren't too enthusiastic about it, so I'm like, maybe I'll just skip this one. And I didn't see the movie until Furious 7 was about to come out. And I liked it when I saw it, didn't really think much of it. And then I watched it again for this review, and yeah, it is the best of the series. I can totally see why everyone puts this on the top of their lists of Fast and Furious movies. Now, that being said, there's a difference between the best movie and my favorite. And personally, I like the 1st and 7th movie more than Fast 5. Last year on YouTube, I made a video of my personal picks for the 10 most overrated movies of the last decade, and Fast 5 was on that list. I'd like to elaborate why I think that, and I also want to make it perfectly clear that overrated does not mean bad, not in the slightest. The reason I think Fast 5 is a tad overrated and why it's not my favorite in the series mainly has to do with comparisons to the other movies that I actually like. I think the first movie just has a lot more charm and more humanity than Fast 5 does. Vin Diesel is much better in that first movie than he is in this one. And when you compare it to Furious 7, sure, that movie runs for a little too long, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think it's as well directed as this movie is in terms of its action, but I felt like there was more heart in Furious 7. Did Paul Walker's death play a factor into that reasoning? Absolutely, but I mean, what can I do? So those are the main reasons why I think Fast 5 is overrated, but again, that does not mean it's a bad movie, because this movie is just really good. It's not only a great heist movie, it's not only a great action movie, in many aspects, but it's the movie that changed the game of the franchise. It's the movie that grabbed people who kind of fell off the series beforehand and made them fans. Prior to Fast 5 and all the other sequels going forward, there were a lot of people who were just not on board with the Fast and the Furious franchise, including me. I am not a gearhead. Back then, I looked at the first 3 movies and just went, they're fine, but I don't really care. Like, I just don't care about cars. Can it get me from one destination to another? Good? Then I'll take it. And I didn't even bother with Fast and Furious, again, up until Furious 7 came out and I had to catch up on the series. So with this movie, they decided, okay, let's genre hop. Let's pull focus away from street racing because we've done that 4 times already. And really, there's only so many times we can do the same thing over and over again. Let's just rip off Ocean's 11 and just make it a really entertaining heist movie. And in order to make a really entertaining heist movie, you have to have a stellar cast. And this movie's cast is pretty much everyone who's ever been in a Fast and Furious movie beforehand. Well, except Tokyo Drift, which makes sense because this is still a prequel. And this movie does a weird thing where it brings in characters from a movie that I didn't really like at all. In fact, I flat out hate, and makes me go, all right, they're here. And by movie I hate, I'm talking about Too Fast, Too Furious. And by characters, I'm talking about Roman Pierce, played by Tyrese, and Tej, played by Ludacris. I really didn't like Roman Pierce in Too Fast, Too Furious. And Tej wasn't in the movie enough for him to actually stand out to me. So in this movie, when they come on, sure, they might be completely different characters. I mean, somebody commented on my Too Fast, Too Furious review saying they really did Roman Pierce dirty in the sequels, and Tej being a computer hacker is completely unrealistic. Yeah, I suppose so, considering that the series has never done anything unrealistic going forward. Regardless of that, I don't have a problem with the way Roman Pierce and Tej are different characters than they were in Too Fast, Too Furious. Because in my opinion, you could pretty much skip Too Fast, Too Furious entirely, and you would be introduced to these characters for the first time. And I think both of them together have great chemistry. They are the comedic highlights of the film. And even though Roman Pierce would, over the course of the series, become more annoying, he's actually quite charming in this movie, and his banter back and forth with Tej is great as well. Han is just as cool as he ever is, and we get to find out that his alias is Han Solo, but Solo is spelled like the city in South Korea -O, which I think is so cool. And it was almost fitting considering that Sung Kang has been cast in the Obi-Wan Kenobi miniseries. So yeah, Han Solo is in Obi-Wan, technically. And then Gal Gadot is back again as Giselle, who has a lot more to do in this movie. And she's not excellent in this role, but she's not as bad as I remember her being. And then you have these 2 Puerto Rican singers playing the characters of Leo and Santos, who are not terrible at a comic relief, but I just thought, we already have Roman and Tej, we don't need another comedic duo, which is why I guess they never came back for any of the sequels. But then again, we got Fast 10 and Fast 11 coming out at some point, so I'm sure they'll be back. And then you've got the man himself, Luke goddamn Hobbs, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I gotta admit, when I was rewatching Fast 5 for this review, and Dwayne Johnson makes his appearance, I was like, hell yeah, Hobbs is here, because his introduction just says everything you need to know about this character. He's a hard ass, he lays down every single detail about the guys they're after, and when he's talking to one of the officers who greets him, he says, give me 2 things. 1, I need a translator, and more specifically her, and the second thing is stay the fuck out of my way. Man, that's a hell of an introduction. And again, it goes back to what I said when I reviewed Hobbs and Shaw, is that if you talk to Fast and Furious fans and told them you have to lose one or the other, who's it going to be, Vin Diesel or Dwayne Johnson, people will actually say you gotta lose Vin Diesel. I know Hobbs and Shaw, the movie, is not particularly well liked, but I think that statement on we'd rather keep Dwayne Johnson over Vin Diesel is such a testament to how much this guy single-handedly saved the franchise. Okay, maybe single-handedly is a bit too harsh, because all the other cast members do a really good job, and they all have great chemistry with each other. I love the way they put together this heist, and they do things that I haven't seen in other heist movies, at least maybe until Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where, okay, this particular plan that we're setting up to do, it's not working, so let's just do something else. So that's pretty unique for a heist movie to just take a section of the plan and throw it away rather than constantly doing it up until they get it to work. That's pretty inventive. Although I can understand people if they say, wow, you just wasted our time by trying to do this one plan and then throwing it away. However, if it wasn't for throwing all those failed plans out the window, we wouldn't get the amazing finale in this movie, where they pretty much chain wires at the back of their cars to a giant safe and drag it all over the city of Rio de Janeiro, using it as a giant club. And I'm like, this is absolutely ludicrous. This is completely absurd, but I am having so much fun. And you know what? When you look back at the other movies that have come afterwards, this finale with the safe being on the move is actually pretty tame by comparison. And what makes this scene really pop is all the things that get destroyed. One of the best aspects about this movie and its action is Justin Lin's reliance on practical effects. That train heist at the beginning of the movie is almost all practical. There's some obvious CGI shots, but the money's there. And just the amount of things that get destroyed in the finale when that safe is crashing into trees, crashing into police cars, it's just wonderful to watch. It's probably the best action scene in the franchise, next to the big heist at the end of the Fast and the Furious. If I had any complaints about Fast 5, it would be that the movie runs for a little too long, longer than some of the previous films. And the villain is just not that interesting. He's just a generic crime lord in Rio. But other than that, I think this is a great movie. Again, I still like the first and seventh movie more than this one, but in terms of best movie in the series, it's really hard to argue that this isn't the best of the series. The action scenes are so well filmed, well choreographed, and just exciting all around. The cast is fantastic, and the chemistry that they all have with each other is electric. And I think some of these smaller cast members are great, like Matt Schulze, who played Vince in the first movie, and Elsa Pataky, who plays Hobbs' partner. And I gotta say, 2011 was a big highlight for her family, because just the following week, her husband would star in Thor. I'll let you connect the dots on that one. So for a rating, I'd say it's worth seeing in your lifetime. This is a great action movie on all accounts. And again, I have to repeat this. Just because I said that this movie might be a little overrated, that does not mean it's bad. Because if you love action movies, this is one of the essentials that you have to watch. And there you go, that's my review for Fast 5. I have officially reviewed every single Fast and Furious movie. The next movie to come out afterwards would be Fast and Furious 6, released in 2013. I've already reviewed this movie back when my channel was practically a month old, but you know what? I wasn't really too happy with the way I reviewed movies back then. I just really hated the way those videos were edited, I hated the camera I filmed them on, and I just hated my awkward persona before I eventually evolved into how I review movies now. So you know what? I think that review deserves an update. So tune in a couple days where I'll be giving you an updated and spoiler-filled review for Fast and Furious 6. But until then, I want to know what you guys think about Fast 5. If you've seen it, what did you think? Do you consider this to be the best in the series? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Fast 5. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.